coldest thing your sibling ever did to you? I spent most of my childhood believing my older brother had saved my life. Everyone told me the same story. He was the brave one, the selfless one, the reason I could hear again. I was born with a condition that slowly damaged my hearing. By the time I was 10, voices sounded muffled, music was disappearing, and even my parents' voices sometimes sounded like they were coming from another room. Doctors warned us that I might eventually lose my hearing completely. Then they offered us an experimental treatment. It was risky. It wasn't guaranteed to work, and it required a close family donor who was a match. My brother was the match. He didn't hesitate. I'll do it. I remember looking at him from my hospital bed. I was terrified. He squeezed my hand and joked, "You're annoying, but I suppose I still want to hear you complain." I laughed. I believed him. The procedure worked. For the first time in years, I could hear everything clearly. My mother's voice, rain against the windows, music, my own footsteps. It felt like getting my entire world back, and I always believed I owed that world to my brother. Every birthday, every holiday, every time I heard something beautiful, I'd tell him, "Thank you." He always smiled. "You're welcome." At least that's what I thought his smile meant. Years passed. We grew up. I went to college, and he moved across the country for work. We weren't as close anymore, but I never questioned what he'd done for me. Then one summer, I came home because my laptop had stopped working. My brother had an old computer in his room, so I borrowed it to print some documents. When I opened it, his messages were already on the screen. I wasn't looking for anything, but one sentence caught my eye. I never wanted to go through with that procedure. I froze. I read it again, then again. My hands started shaking. The message was part of a conversation with someone I'd never heard of. My brother had written that our parents pressured him. He'd said he'd wanted to say no. He'd said everyone made him feel guilty. And then I saw the sentence that hurt the most. "She thinks I saved her because I wanted to. She doesn't know how much I resented being forced into it." I couldn't breathe. For years, I'd imagined my brother sitting beside my hospital bed, willingly sacrificing for me. Now I wondered if every moment had been something he'd been forced to endure. I kept scrolling. There were messages about money, arguments with our parents, and one conversation where he'd written, "She keeps thanking me. I don't know what I'm supposed to say." I closed the laptop. I sat on the floor for almost an hour, and the strangest part wasn't anger. It was guilt. Suddenly, every thank you I'd ever given him felt like another reminder of something he never wanted. That night, I printed the messages. I put them in an envelope and left it on his bed. On the front, I wrote one sentence: "I would have loved you even if you had said no." Then I left. The next morning, he was gone. No goodbye, no explanation. Nothing. For months, I couldn't listen to certain songs without thinking about him. I couldn't hear rain without remembering the hospital. And every time someone called him my hero, I wanted to tell them they didn't know the whole story. Eventually, I found out something else. My brother had been angry for years, but he wasn't angry because he had helped me. He was angry because he believed he'd never been allowed to choose. That distinction changed everything. I finally called him. He didn't answer, so I left a voicemail. I said, "You don't have to be my hero. You don't owe me anything. But if you ever want to talk to me as my brother, I'll be here." 3 days later, he called. We talked for almost 4 hours. He told me he regretted how much resentment he'd carried. I told him I regretted never realizing he was struggling too. Neither of us apologized for the decision itself. We apologized for everything that happened afterward. We're not magically inseparable now, but we're brothers again. And I've learned something I wish I'd understood much earlier. Sometimes the people who help us are hurting too, and gratitude shouldn't mean turning someone into a hero they never asked to be. My brother gave me something I'll always be grateful for, but the greatest thing he gave me wasn't my hearing. It was the chance to finally know the real person behind the sacrifice. And this time, neither of us had to pretend.